continuous decline of Marcelo and Isco's careers has been one of the main subplots of Real's tough but so far decent season. The players who were instrumental in 3 consecutive historic Champions League triumphs now are not only out of the starting lineup, but are effectively out of rotation as well. How it could happen, why it happened, and what awaits in the future to stars that turned into fringe players. This video presents an attempt to answer these questions. Let's start with the ever-cheerful Brazilian, who by the way not for the first time found himself in the role of substitute. Unlike his even more famous compatriot Roberto Carlos, who was an undisputed starter during all career at Real, Marcelo had a lot of ups and downs in that regard despite being the longest serving foreigner in Madrid's history. This graphic shows that he has been an integral part of Madrid's starting 11 only in 7 seasons out of 15. Pretty strange stats for such a charismatic and flashy footballer, isn't it? The players of this type are commonly referred to as overrated, but in the case of the Brazilian, another formulation suits much better. Marcelo is an unevenly gifted footballer, being one of the best passers and dribblers of all time among the left backs, the best ever in this category in my humble opinion. As a pure defender, he is quite weak and unreliable, especially in the transition phase. That's why one time he, being at the peak of youth and energy, even wasn't a part of the Seleção under Dunga's guidance, who preferred a pragmatic Italian way of play, and that's why the Brazilian was absent almost for the whole playoff on Real's route to the historic 10th Champions Cup. It's true that in the past 2 years Marcelo visibly lost his trademarked Kate reflexes and sharpness, but it's only one reason of his professional decline. The other one is that Real's style of play has changed a lot too. Marcelo, with his prodigious offensive skills, was ideal for Zidane's Real in the Champions League's winning years, when the team played precisely in accordance with the famous Brazilian motto, "You would score as many as you can, while we will score as much as we want." In Jose Mourinho's side, which cultivated an up-tempo football and in every game tried to force a high-scoring affair, Marcelo was an influential figure too. But the current Real, with aging leaders after the departure of Cristiano Ronaldo, has much less guaranteed goals and couldn't nourish, let's put it that way, the defender of this type anymore. That's why Zidane prefers to deploy much more dependable at the back Ferland Mendy almost in every single game at the moment. The importance of each goal conceded now is significantly higher, while carefree Marcelo is still making a lot of blunders in defense. Moreover, he regularly even hasn't been able to be in the frame during dangerous counterattacks, and these images are very telling. At the age of 32, the Brazilian found himself in a basically non-winning situation. His skills could be used mainly on the opposite half of the pitch, but there is a huge problem. At this stage of his career, Marcelo not only isn't smart enough, but also simply isn't fast enough in order to control his flank during counterattacks. It seems he is destined to finish his glittering career in Madrid in a status of fringe player. It's harsh, it's in a way even unfair, but such is the stern reality of football on a high level. As for Isco, the Spaniard's fall in the pecking order is attributable primarily to his character. Being an artist of the ball in a good way, he is an artist also in a bad sense of this word. Isco's poor work rate, lack of stamina, mental fragility, and inabilities to sustain stress on long stints are notorious, but lately those problems were aggravated by excessive weight, which is obviously the consequence of banal laziness. Meanwhile, his game indissolubly connected with constant movement. Isco's best performances included 10 or 10.5 kilometers covered, 90 or even 100 touches in all key areas of the field, and a lot of runs, too numerous to count them precisely. In those heat maps depicting his most memorable performances, you can see it very well. In order to play this way on a regular basis, one must be pretty fit and resilient, and it's evident that so fragile footballer won't be able to do it. That's why the moments of his brilliance are so brief and sudden. It's curious to remember that he barely featured in the Champions League 2016-2017 before the quarter-final stage, and that spring was probably, well, rather most definitely, his finest in football. Now, nearly at the age of 29, not 25. It would be much harder for Isco to return in the starting lineup in style, but if he will be able to restrain his ego, lose weight and accept his today's status in the team, he could be a pretty useful role player, especially if we take into account that Real still relies on a possession type of football, which is the Spaniard's speciality. Well, when he's in form, indeed. Otherwise, Isco promptly will find himself in a new team, given that his contract with Real expires in 2022.